Hey guys, it is Cam from Craft and Tailored, and in this episode of What Is On My Wrist, we're talking about a couple of different watches, but we're specifically talking about a 1973 Rolex Datejust reference 1601. Now, seemingly kind of simple watch. Why are we talking about it? Number one, I'm a huge fan of the Datejust. If I was just getting into vintage watches, and or if I had an established collection, the Datejust itself would always remain very much relevant. The Datejust is one of the most iconic Rolex watches of all time. They're very accessible in price point. They kind of go with everything. They go with jeans, t-shirt, you could wear one with a suit. So I like the idea of having this watch be something that you could just kind of have be your one watch and your one watch only. I'm a big fan of the 1601s. I really like vintage Datejust. I like step dials, but in specific, this watch is what we would call a linen dial. So this has a linen or fabric texture to the dial. We actually just wrote an article about this, and I'll provide a link in the description or up here or over somewhere, I don't know. But I'll provide a link to this article where we talk about the Rolex fabric dials. In specific, the linen dials and the Mosaic dials. I think that what's cool about these dials, specifically this one here, is that the watch is accessible, but yet it's also still exclusive because it's a dial variant that we don't see a lot and or is seen less than other dial variants. So let's dive into the details here really quick. Datejust has been around for a long time. I don't know if it really needs any kind of introduction, but there's just something so awesome and kind of iconic and classic about the Datejust that you instantly fall in love with. I think regardless if you're a collector of like crazy Paul Newmans and or rare references, you can definitely appreciate a Datejust. This specific example from '73 is on its original rolled Link Jubilee bracelet, which is a favorite of mine. It's a very thin bracelet, but yet it's somewhat substantial. The condition of the watch is really nice. And also I really love these silver linen dials. The nickname linen comes from the fabric-like texture that is in the dial. It looks like a linen fabric, and there's a couple of different variants. I actually have another 1601 here in yellow gold that has a blue linen dial, which is actually very rare. The colored linen dials are pretty uncommon. So the gray, the blue, there's a couple of really interesting. I've actually seen a green linen. I'm still trying to kind of figure out if that's legit or not, but there's a couple of green linen dials that are floating around. The blue definitely was a factory option and more commonly seen in gold 1601s versus the steel. Steel, you can find gray and blue and some other interesting colors in the linen range. But what's interesting about the linen dial itself is that it has like this interesting texture and it kind of kicks out a little bit of light. And there's also this actually is kind of interesting too, because this is a linen dial, but it's more what we would consider kind of like a Mosaic dial. There's a couple of different dial variants in the fabric dial lineup, I guess, as you can say. But this one typically looks a little bit more like stacked kind of like bricks. It has like a fabric-like texture, and it's commonly called a linen dial, but the real nickname for this, or the more commonly accepted nickname, is like a Mosaic dial. And instead of it looking like a linen fabric, it's a little bit more structured and kind of laterally designed as opposed to something like this. The reason why, again, I wanted to kind of talk about this is I really love Datejust, and even though we're known for selling and sourcing crazy rare watches, I love kind of coming back to watches like this, and I think there's a lot of exclusivity and a lot of substance in something as simple as a 1601. But again, having one with a linen dial is really cool. If you look on our website, we've had a good number of linen dials, but it pales in comparison to the amount of just standard silver or champagne or even like gray dials, right? Which are a little bit less common, or even black dial variants in the 1601. So again, I kind of wanted to just draw some attention to this. Again, on wrist, I mean, the watch wears wonderfully. I really like Datejust on a Jubilee, and it's something that is eye-catching, but yet subtle enough to not be like blingy or flashy. So I kind of wanted to do a video about the linen dial, draw a little bit of attention to this example from 73, and kind of talk about these because I think that, you know, not every watch has to be a Paul Newman or something like that to possess exclusivity and kind of a specialness to it. And it can be something as seemingly as simple as, you know, a linen dial that's really awesome. So in any case, just wanted to kind of share this one with you. This one is available for sale, as well as this blue Mosaic dial, and I kind of wanted to just show you these as a comparison in the fabric dial texture, because we had two of them and they're both pretty incredible, especially this blue gold linen. It's just, or Mosaic rather, it's just a really incredible watch. So I'll provide a link in the description below to both of these references, and yeah, I'll provide a link to also the article that we wrote talking about textured dials and why they're kind of cool and the origins of that stuff. So in any case, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to follow us also on Instagram for the latest news and updates, and I'll see you in the next one. See you there.